All right, my man, Matt Tifft, I knew you for a long time running, short track racing and the Xfinity Series also and NASCAR. But, dude, you are doing something right now that a lot of us in the short track world are just like, our minds are blown, and obviously I kind of have a little bit of an interest in this. Tell folks
just
what you're doing.
Bit,
just
huh?
a little. Tell folks what you're doing. This is insane. You're trying to resurrect Mansfield Speedway in Ohio. Like, what the heck? How did this even come about?
Yeah, no, we're super excited about it. So after my NASCAR career, driving ended in 2019 after my first year in the Cup Series after some health stuff. But then, sold Live Fast Motorsports at the end of 2023, the charter portion of it. Then I kind of moved on from the team. And so after that, my wife and I, we were expecting our first baby. And so we, for a little bit there, we were looking at getting some land around Troutman, Statesville area in North Carolina. And we were under contract for quite a bit of land down there to go, just build our house and have some rural area. I grew up in, farmland here in Ohio. So HOA land doesn't really let you go mess around very much. And once we had the news, we came back up to Ohio. Both of our families are from this area, still live up here. So we came back for that. And to be honest with you, I got back into some dirt late model racing, some asphalt and short track racing.
And you're doing good. You've won here recently. So
it's been getting better, doing well, having fun with it. But, part of me was, from growing up in kind of more rural areas and stuff, I just miss being able to go just have my own land and go do stuff. So I'll be honest, I was just looking for 5, 10, 20 acres, whatever. And so I was looking at that, and prices are just expensive for land in general. And then it got to, okay, well, can I put up a pole barn? Maybe put it side by side here, just something for, we were doing a lot of content stuff with the Blaster folks and just some, just lifestyle kind of stuff. And it's like, man, I kind of want to do that. And then find a property. Well, zoning won't allow this and permitting won't allow that and blah, blah, blah. So I just got very frustrated with it, to be completely honest. And so we got to the point where we were looking at maybe doing some events or like a concert thing or a benefit thing or whatever. And I was driving to Mid-Ohio last year to do the Trans Am race at Mid-Ohio and drove past the Speedway, Mansfield Speedway. I was like, man, wonder what's going on with that place. And it just kind of lived in my mind for a while. And so,
did you stop by and look at that point or no?
Nope.
Okay.
I'd never been there. I watched the races, but when they ran the trucks there, I was too little. I wasn't driving yet. And then when they did race there again, it was just, local modified stuff. So didn't have much interest there. Then they opened up as the dirt track in 2017 to 19. And I was racing in the Xfinity and Cup Series and stuff. So just wasn't up there at all. So just never lined up to come out there.
Yeah.
So, I just started looking up these racetracks. I'm like, I wonder if we could do something like that, and not even look at fully resurrecting the track at the time. Okay. But then the idea sparked, and I kept digging into it. And looking at, all these different ways that sports and motorsports, and you look from the influencer side from somebody like Cletus, and we're not trying to be him, but just like what he did.
No, but that's a great example.
Yeah, because I grew up racing in Florida at DeSoto. There'd be 200 people in the stands, and the place was falling apart. But that was
now look at what it's done for him, not just on the YouTube side, but look at what it's done with the drag racing side, and
100%.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so it kind of gave me that idea that, like, wait a minute, people still like cars, people still like racing, but how can we go change this and flip the script? So we the property was not for sale, but we got this idea of, could we go check it out? And my cousin, Michaela Palak, she's a realtor. And I said, Michaela, can we go find, like, who even owns this property? Because I knew Grant Milliron owned the property, but unfortunately he had passed away a few years ago. And so we had to kind of find from their trust and foundation stuff of who was in charge of it. So we set up a meeting, went down there, and it's a sprawling 180-acre property. And I'm walking around this place like, oh my gosh. It's like walking in one of those videos of an abandoned Six Flags or something like that. This place was
apocalyptic.
$20 million back in 2002 they put into this place when they changed it from dirt to asphalt. Beautiful, beautiful facility. And it was just, the bones were there. And it's like, what a shame of what happened to this place. It was in perfect location, an hour from Cleveland, hour from Columbus, 2 hours from Cincinnati. So like perfectly placed for a racetrack. You don't see that very much.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, I mean, if you watch the YouTube video we put out, the generator room has $1 million in exhaust work in there. The
generator is insane.
It's 3 Detroit motors there. Like, it's crazy. So I was like, man, there is something here. And I've got to figure this out. And I spent every freaking day just researching and looking up stuff and researching, looking up stuff, 3 a.m. every night, just, just going like crazy finding this thing. And then we made an offer. We talked to the Mill Irons, and they're a pillar of the community in Mansfield. So they're not going to let it go to just anybody. So we presented a whole deal to their foundation, painted this whole picture of what we could do, and they accepted our offer. And it's just been so cool, and we can't wait to bring racing back there. That is an extremely short version of that story, and we have a lot more to uncover here, I'm sure, to talk about. But
but just looking at it though, like for the fans that are maybe watching us chat here, obviously you got to go to Matt's YouTube page. It's incredible the journey that they're on, and you're documenting that whole journey. And I'm a fan of that journey, and I'm going to follow it, your journey, your family's journey to do this the whole entire way. But describe to people the condition that it's in. The apocalyptic. Explain to me, the visual of what Mansfield Speedway looks like right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if any of you guys have seen the movie 2012 or something like that, or like back when you're in science class and they show like when Earth takes back over, man-made things. But that's kind of the vibe there. I mean, you got, this massive facility of 7 buildings between the tech shed, state-of-the-art concession stands and restrooms that are just weeds growing up through them, concrete cracked, asphalt destroyed, and then this huge half-mile track that is just a jungle, basically. There's trees growing through it. There's grass going through it. But at the same time, it's like, a little TLC here. You can make it presentable. And then
a little?
Well, okay.
Dude, you guys have a lot of work to do.
Well, hang on. So a little TLC from, getting the landscaping put back. But then, of course, you get into the infrastructure part of like, it needs millions of dollars of rehab at that part of it. But it's just amazing to look at and go, there could be still racing here. And I'll be honest with you, we announced this thing. I expected a little buzz, but the way this thing blew up was insane to me. I never expected to get the buzz we've gotten around it. And I think it's because of the fact that this track held NASCAR races. It was a dirt track for, 40, 50 years before that. I mean, the racing history here, 15 minutes from our track.
57 or something,
yeah. And 15 minutes from our track is the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. So you have Eldora right down the road, too. I mean, it is a sleeper racing state, really, in Ohio, but it just probably the nicest racing facility in Ohio. In fact, SMI, I think they even almost purchased the property. They're going to build a quarter-mile drag strip there at one point. The land is clear to build a drag strip. I mean, it is just incredible, the ideas they had for this place. And then it's just so eerie because you're like, what the hell happened here?
Yeah, it's emotional to walk around. Yeah, I haven't been around there. I've been watching the videos of you and your wife doing it, but even watching those, it's eerie, it's creepy, it's emotional.
For sure. And but I also, when I walked the property and I saw it like that, my brother was with me. He's like, man, this place is, it's a mess. And I heard another contractor be like, this place is just, basically a crap hole here. But the people who got it were the people who walked around there with me and said, there is so much potential here. And those are the people I want on my team. And so those are the people that, we've joined up with. And, the original builders of the NASCAR track, not the 1959 track, but the 2002 track, Simonson Construction. They've been on the project now for about 3 or 4 days, and of course the prep work before that to do it. And it is so cool to have the original builders of the track on this case with me, because they know when this place held 25,000 people for watching Donnie Leah, win that race, leading one lap in his career, what that emotion was like for the town, for a small town. I mean, Mansfield's, 60, 70,000 people, but it's not a big town by any means. This track shouldn't be here where it is. You look at, it's not a Cleveland track. It's not a Columbus track. It's just out in the middle of nowhere. And
but out in the middle of nowhere. But that day when Leah won in 2008, that place looked like a sausage coming out of its casing. The fans just were everywhere. It was alive.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, when we announced this, the mayor, the town council, everybody is just like, we cannot believe you're bringing this place back. Like, we are so excited. And you hear so many stories about noise complaints and local politicians just being mad about the track. And they're like, no, we want this back. We miss this place. And that, I think, is why there's been so much buzz around it, because people are like, this should have been something big. This should have been a staple on the NHRA schedule with the drag strip, or IHRA, whatever they're going to do. It should have been with the racetrack. They're going to build a 30,000 square foot convention center there. I mean, the plans for this place were so grandiose. And that's $20 million in 2002 money. I don't even know what that'd be now, $80 million or whatever. So when you look at the people who they worked there, their dad drove here in 1985. Jeff Gordon, won here back in the 80s too. I mean, you look at the list, and Earl Battis, the owner of Eldora there, he owned this racetrack too before he was solely on Eldora. So you just look at the history and go, this track should work. But how do we make it work? And so that's what we're, putting in our plans and excited to share with everybody.
How are you going to do it? Because there's people like me that are just so gung ho, but then there's people like that are looking at this and going, this is like not an uphill little hill. You're climbing a mountain here, you and your family. How the heck are you going to do it?
Well, I mean, first off, the easiest part, of course, is to say it's the hardest and easiest, but that's saying restoring the racetrack, right? So, I mean, we've got to get past that hurdle. But the easiest conversation to go to in here is talk about what we are doing at the track. Because in 2025 or 26 in our case of like trying to get this place open, you cannot run with this much money put into a racetrack, a weekly show, and still survive. It's not going to happen. And I know I've had a million people reach out to me being, are you running pure stocks on Friday night? And listen, I love the pure stocks. I love the four cylinders. I love the late model sprint cars, whatever. I'm here for all of it. And there will be a place on the schedule for it. Yeah. But we have to diversify, because when you look at racing in general, we all know it's an aging fan base. We all know, all the crap that gets said about NASCAR. But then there's another side of that, which is look at car culture. Look at street takeovers, even if they're not great, but look at Cars and Coffee. Look at, drifting shows. There is a culture alive for this stuff, but we've got to hit the right niche. But, when we bring, say we ever bring the High Limit Sprint Car Series there, or the World of Outlaws, or the Lucas Oil Dirt Late Model Series to the track, we want to do that stuff, but we can't saturate it to where it doesn't feel special. At the same time, when you look at the track's failure as a dirt track from 2017 to 2019, they didn't have enough events. So we've got to find the balance between, we have a half-mile oval, dirt oval, so we can use that for
it's going to be dirt
races. Big dirt track. But we also have I believe it's a third mile, the old pit road and then the asphalt track in the inside there. We have a proper third mile asphalt track there. We could put figure eight cars in there. We can do giant go-kart racing events there. We can do demolition derbies. We can do monster truck shows. But we can do autocross there as well. We can do drifting shows there. We can do car shows. We can do concerts.
Concerts is a big thing. That time where you're not racing is important for these facilities. Yeah.
100%. And you mentioned it. You before we had the call here. You're living near the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Look what CMS has done, having their Christmas light show every year. Yep. So we're bringing a Christmas light show here to where you can drive around the property, go walk into the concourse there for a full Christmas light show there. The track will be lit up, and making it to where it's not just a one-trick pony. But beyond all this, we still have 120 acres in the back lot of this property. So, I mean, whether that's going to be putting a side-by-side track back there, a motocross track back there, a dirt go-kart track. I would love to go recreate Millbridge up here for the Ohio community, because there's so many drivers in the sprint car spot. That would be awesome. But, what's crazy, Matt, is we have so much land. I could throw a few bunkers back there and a couple buses and make a paintball tournament back there if I want to. There's so many options. So we have to be careful, because the great thing about options is we can be adaptable. The bad thing about options is you can go out of business real quick because you outspend yourself from excitement.
Have you been surprised with who's reached out to you so far? Because you probably thought I was going to. Because obviously,
I did.
Lost Speedways. I'm like, I've been watching it the whole time, and I've been dying to talk to you. But have you been surprised with some of the people in the sport or outside of it that have reached out?
Yeah, I mean, the first one on my list, I'd say there's Mark Martin. That was the coolest one to me, just offering to help however he could. But then, when we teased it, Greg Biffle saying, I want that track. I want to go buy that. I mean, there's so many drivers that have, participated in, our debates of dirt or asphalt or whatever. I mean, it seems like the whole community is really invested in this. And what's cool about that is it's short track guys, it's grassroots guys, it's asphalt guys, it's dirt guys, it's NASCAR guys. How often do you see everybody actually work together on an idea nowadays in motorsports? I'd say just about never. So to see the interest from all lives of motorsports, that's what's been super cool to me.
Well, I'm super proud of you too, because I knew you when you were a lot younger, obviously in your career, but you're doing great things with your dirt late model. You're having success. That's the most fun thing you'll ever do in your life. But taking on a project like this is something that has generational ramifications to it. Ripples in the pond.
Yeah.
So like I can't express enough how thankful I am, let alone everybody in the community. If you could actually pull this off, this is like hero level stuff right here, brother. So what's your goal? I got to ask you one quick question. What's your goal? Do you have even some semblance of a timeline, or is it just going to be let's wait and see and let's follow the journey on YouTube?
Yeah, well, I do want to address one thing you said, which is, from the generational part of this. We had our son, about a little bit more than a year ago. And obviously that changes you. Whenever you become a dad and a family, it changes you so much. But what changed for me was I love driving race cars, but there's nothing. I mean, of course, if he decides to drive a race car, that's awesome. There's a generational thing. But there's nothing to me that goes, we're able to leave a mark on something. And we do all kinds of philanthropic efforts, and there's winning races, sure, and participating in them. That's all great. But to be able to go create something, that is so cool to me. And, part of the interest of this track, like I mentioned, was the go-kart track there. I want to have it to where whether you're a 5-year-old kid wanting to go in racing and you're just getting started in it, or you're on the World of Outlaws tour, or maybe someday you're on the NASCAR tour in the Truck Series, if we ever get them back, that you're able to come race at this place and have that entire pipeline. I always looked at that when I worked at Live Fast, owning the team there. How can we create that pipeline of drivers to come up through and be a farm team to get into bigger teams and opportunities? But now putting that into our own property is just incredible. But as far as the goal for the property, we began construction this week. Our goal is to be able to host races there late April to early May of next year, which is a wild timeline, I know, but I can tell you we are being aggressive as hell trying to get this thing done, because the sooner that we can get this project done, the more we can ride the wave of momentum and bring people back in, do it the right way. And we've learned a lot of things from previous promoters and owners' mistakes and their successes there. I'm never going to tell you that we're going to be perfect, because we are not. But we do know that we have a lot of information. We have a lot of backers. We have the right construction crew. We just brought on the track president or general manager here this past weekend, president. So we have a lot of people who are very knowledgeable. Listen, this is my big grand idea, but I've never ran a racetrack. I need people on my support team who have done this, who have prepped the tracks, who have ran the concession parts of it. I'm learning all that every single day. But I need to make sure from the top to the bottom that we have people in here that know what they're doing, that know what they can bring to the table, to where, Brittany, who lives 20 miles away, drives 40 minutes to come to the track and has a great time and will come back. Because if we don't create that, that's going to be an issue, and it is for so many tracks. But we want to create the experiences there to where people do come back. And we're looking at different things, including putting in a beer garden with our new grandstands coming in. We're going to have a party deck there for, like the new baseball stadiums do. So We'll have hillside seating like they used to have there. We're going to expand some in turns 1 and 2. But we want this to feel like when you step into this racetrack, it's not just another short track on the schedule. You're coming into a place that is a true racing arena. And one thing I do want to mention on top of that, though, is we are going to be a little bit innovative here. So taking a step into the crazy book here for a minute.
Let's do it.
We did take a look at the Savannah Bananas. And now I want to make sure I make this very clear. This is not for the sprint car races. This is not for the late model races. This is just our own thing. So don't give me too much crap here. This is something different. We're just trying something here, okay? Before you all lose your minds on Facebook. But
hey, Savannah Bananas are the hottest thing in sports right now. So yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah. And so we looked, I was like, why is this working? And then I was like, man, what does motorsports have that's like that, where it's a show? You don't have to love the Cleveland Guardians to love the Savannah Bananas. It's different. People come for that. Families come. And my biggest issue I have with going to a Saturday night short track is, if you're a fan of racing, you're going to have a great time. But if you're not a fan, you're like, why am I going to come here? What's different about it? So we looked at Monster Jam because I kind of figured that's the closest thing to where you bring in families. You don't have to like racing or motorsports because they love the trucks. They love the characters. So we are creating our own series called Throttle Circus. You actually think about the first one that's heard about this on an interview. So what Throttle Circus will be probably 10 to 12 character cars where the driver and the theme of the car is going to be in on it, just like Monster Jam, but the drivers will kind of fit that WWE mold, Savannah Banana mold, where they're in on the deal a little bit more. There will be real racing in it as well, but we want it to be where these drivers and cars are resonating with young kids and the fans. And there was a Kyle Busch interview, I think, on the Dale Jr. Downloader, one of the Dirty Mill podcasts, where he's like, screw it. At this point for the All-Star race, let's just go spin the wheel. And I thought, why don't we try that? Let's go spin a fan wheel and see how it works. And because I am a racing purist, but we've got to bring other people into this that don't necessarily have to like racing. So this is going to be a giant, pyro show and all kinds of crazy stuff going on with it. To where it's
I also
really
like this too because
circus.
People pick on the whole gimmick thing in Major League Motorsports. You're not trying to gimmick Major League Motorsports. You're trying to create a subculture thing, like we mentioned Savannah Bananas, where that's celebrated in baseball. Yes. So I think the idea is there. I mean, goes back to the Harlem Globetrotters, historically, things like that drew in fans and got people in love with basketball, young people in love with basketball. So I think the idea is there, man. Yeah, that is absolutely phenomenal.
We've got to execute it, but again, I'm going to say it one more time. We are going to have real racing where we do not have gimmicks. I do not like gimmicks in real racing. But if we can create our own side thing that is that show, it's not a race, it is a show. There will be racing in it, but it is fan enjoyable, family content, that kind of a thing. We want to try it because, like you mentioned, the Globetrotters, the Bananas, it's been done in other sports. So if we can strike something with this, I hope it ignites this entire interest into racing that's never been done before with a short track and can be televised or streamed on Flow or whatever it might be. But we want to try something because what do we have to lose? If it doesn't go well, we'll scrap and try something else.
Yep. But if it doesn't go well, you've got your other motorsports that you're trying to attend to. But, we could all maybe, if that has success, we can all take things from that 100%. And apply it. So.
Yep. But that's just one of the things we got going on. But there's so much more. But I do have a question for you.
Uh-oh. Go ahead.
So I'm just genuinely curious because you've been to a ton of abandoned racetracks. You've seen some like Wilkesboro and Rockingham, well, kind of Rockingham, come back. But you've seen a lot there sitting too. So I want to know you've talked to plenty of community around those racetracks and you've seen those places. What's your biggest takeaway about just the places you've seen? Like you've seen so many. So what are some of the biggest things you've noticed with abandoned racetracks across the country?
Well, I think it's, once they're gone, 99% of the time they're gone. Unless you have some real backing from not just the community, but you need legislation or you need politics involved. Like Hinchliffe Stadium on that season of Lost Speedway, season 1, it was gone. We all doubted the politician there, the mayor, Andre Say, came in from that town and said, "Oh yeah, we're going to do all these things. We're going to bring it back and make it awesome." And to be honest with you, I stood next to him, and the whole entire time he was saying that to me, I thought he was full of crap.
Really?
Yeah, 100% full of crap because that community has seen those promises before and seen them disappear and not really come into fruition. It's just, politics.
Yeah,
let's just be honest. No matter what side you're on, politics are politics. A lot of it's just jibber jabber and talk.
100%.
And I think the fact that he actually did it surprised a lot of us, and he came through with his promises. And now Hinchliffe Stadium, even though they're not holding motorsports events, it's one of the only two remaining Negro League ballparks from back when in the old Negro Leagues, back when there was segregation in baseball, and this historic facility that Satchel Paige pitched at, is back as a baseball park, and people in New Jersey are flocking to it to be able to see baseball again. So this is the hopes, but the thing that I get out of it, to answer your question, is you need that. You need passionate people, of course, and you need money. But if you don't have, a lot of that money is going to have to come from, and a lot of that support is going to have to come from local municipalities. So I pray that works for you guys. It sounds like it is so far, but I don't know how you're going to do it because I'm not you. I'm not your wife. I'm not your family. But, a guy like me, I'm really pulling for you, because like I said, we see so many of them disappear. And like this year, it's hurt. We've seen a lot of racetracks. We're seeing a lot of racetracks shutting down, and we're not seeing many come back. The North Wilkesboros are celebrated and heralded. What CMS is, and SMI has done over there is just ridiculous. And what Dale Jr. did in kind of creating that conversation is beautiful. It's something that we're going to have a documentary about or write books about in the future. But you don't get much of that in this sport. You don't get that much of that in any sport. 100%. So what you're doing here is special.
Well, I do want to give an official invitation for you to be our Grand Marshal next year for our opening night. I would love to have you. So that would be, you're the most fitting person to go kick this thing off. So I'd love to have you out there for our first official event. Thank you.
And if you need anything, I may not have a pile of money, as Mike Hope, the old racer, used to say. I may not have a pile of money to, jump a show dog over.
That
but
sounds like Mike.
I may not have a fancy last name, but I've got heart and ideas and passion, and any ideas or anything you need to bounce off of me, dude. Just let me know. I'm going to be watching all the YouTube stuff. Hit your YouTube real quick. What is it?
Yeah, it's Matt Tifft. Simple as that on YouTube. My last name is spelled Tifft. It's weird. It's simple but complicated, so that goes wrong a lot of the time. But otherwise, just search Mansfield Speedway on there. You'll find it.
Yeah, it's awesome. So anybody who's watching this, don't just watch this video, man. Just tune into what this guy and his family are doing, because we all love the sport, and there's not many people out there doing what you're doing. So thank you for doing that. And I'm sure we're going to click goodbye on this little interview here on FloRacing, but I'm sure we're going to be talking in the future. So thank you for what you're doing.
No, 100%. And I just want to say to everybody who's reached out, thank you for all your support, but also thank you for your comments and ideas. We do read through them. We do really take to heart what you guys think. And obviously there's going to be some things that are supremely negative or positive we've got to throw out there, but we do listen to see what you guys want. And so I think that's a big part of this, is to be innovative in today's time, in today's age, to make something like this work. We need to hear from you. So thank you for commenting on there. Thank you for subscribing to us or liking us on other platforms, whatever it is. But, thank you for what you do, obviously, to, Flow Sports for what they do and all their racing endeavors. But, it's just so cool to be a part of this and bring it back. And I might have trouble sleeping now because I got a million ideas, but I'm happy about it.
Oh, that's okay. Now that you mentioned the Savannah Bananas thing, because we couldn't get tickets for it here in Charlotte. My kid really wanted to go. But like, coming up with even the ideology of what that looks like in motorsports, and even to the name, because the Savannah Banana name is really what really, in my opinion, accelerated a lot of that, because it's
Absolutely.
so catchy. So hey, trust me, ideating is my specialty, man. So you come to me with anything you need, and thanks for doing what you're doing.
Love it. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.